Good morning, grade 7. Today we're going to start a new part in your biology book. We're going to start with the second part, which is reproduction. Open your books please to page 89 and follow with me during the video in order to understand it more. The second part title is reproduction. What do we mean by reproduction? Reproduction is the process by which new organisms are produced by their parents. From its name, reproduction, to produce new. So, reproduction means producing new organisms by the parents. The first chapter in part 2 is chapter 5, reproduction of animals. So we're going to learn first about animals, the reproduction of animals. Let us read the introduction of this chapter. It is in page 90 in your book. Reproduction in animals. Sexual reproduction requires the participation of two individuals of different sexes. So in order to have sexual reproduction, the first thing we need is two individuals of different sexes, means a male and a female. The male, which is like a man and humans, also we have male animals and females, yani a boy and a girl, a male and a female. But in animals we don't call them boy and girl, we call them male and female. Also we need the production of gametes. Do you know what are gametes? Gametes means sex cells. Sex cells are produced by a male and a female after maturity. After they become adults, males produce a sex cell, which is the sperm, and the female sex cell is the ovule. So the gametes are sex cells. And we need also the union of these gametes. So it's not enough for that the male produces its sperm and the female produces its ovule. We also need that these gametes to unite, to join together in order to make sexual reproduction. The union of gametes or fertilization results in a zygote. So after these gametes join together, after the sperm joins the ovule, we call it fertilization. The result will be a zygote. A zygote means a fertilized egg which will grow in order to become a living being. So it develops inside the genital tract, inside the female, or in the external medium, outside the body. For example, we were zygotes, we developed inside our mother's womb, but some animals develop outside. Can you give me an example of an animal which develops outside the mother's body? Like the bird, for example, that develops inside an egg outside the body, giving a new living being. In this chapter, we're going to learn more about these. And we're going to know how does sexual reproduction take place. So we need gametes, which are sex cells, the male sex cell, which is the sperm, and the female sex cell, which is an ovule, and we need fertilization, which is the union or the joining of a sperm and an ovule. The union of these will result in zygote, which, as we said, is a fertilized egg that will grow and develop in order to become a new living thing. Okay, let's start with activity 1, which is in page 92 in your book. Activity 1 is sexual dimorphism and reproductive behavior. So we're going to learn about two things in reproduction in animals in this activity, which is sexual dimorphism and reproductive behavior. What do I mean by sexual dimorphism? In your glossary in your book, it is defined as a characteristic of a species or sexual characteristics which permit easy distinction between males and females, to distinguish if the animal is a male or a female, not from their reproductive organs, but some animals have certain characteristics that help us to know if it is a male or a female. This is called sexual dimorphism. So it is the characteristics that help us to know if this animal is a male or a female. And in this activity, we're going to distinguish between males and females for some animals. Also, we're going to learn about reproductive behavior. Reproductive behavior means the things organisms do before mating. Remember that we said the gametes have to unite? Sometimes the gametes have to unite after mating. Mating means forming a couple. So a male and a female will form a couple to make reproduction. This is also called courtship parade. It is the things they do to attract the female in order to mate. Okay, let us read the introduction. In certain species, it is easy to distinguish the male from the female, while in others, the resemblance is great. So they look very similar. They look like each other. The male and the female look like each other. How can we know, for example, which fish is a male and which fish is a female? A particular reproductive behavior underlies the approach of two partners and the formation of a couple. So there are certain things that the males do before making a couple, before mating. Is it always easy to distinguish the male from the female in the same species? Of course it is not easy, but we have sexual dimorphism that helps us to distinguish. We will learn about it in this activity. Which particular behavior allows their identification? Let us study and learn this activity in order to distinguish between the male and the female. We're going to take certain examples. Let's start with the first animal in this activity, which is the chicken. Of course, you have seen chicken around you. A hen and a rooster. A female and a male. The hen is the female chicken and the rooster is a male chicken. Or they call it a cock as well. Rooster or cock, the same. But this is a hen. What's the difference between the rooster and the hen? Look at it. Look at the picture in your book. Page 92. Let us read under it. The cock differs from the hen. The cock has well-developed comb. You know what is a comb? This is the comb. Did you see it on the head of the rooster? This is called a comb. And tail. Look at the tail. It's different from the hen. So the first sexual dimorphism in the chicken is that the male has a comb. Look, the hen doesn't have a comb. Also, it has wattles. Did you see the wattles? Wattles on each side of the beak. Did you see the wattles around the beak? The hen also doesn't have wattles. So only the male chicken has wattles. And also very colored plumage. What do you mean by plumage? The plumage are the feathers, the collective feathers of the rooster. The hen doesn't have colored plumage. It doesn't have it. So the rooster or the cock or the male chicken has very colored plumage. And spurs. What are spurs? This is the spur. Did you see here beside the foot of the rooster or the cock? The hen doesn't have a spur. There's something here on the foot of the rooster that the hen doesn't have. So let us remember the sexual dimorphisms in chicken. The male chicken has a comb, has wattles, and has colored plumage. Also a spur. Now let's move to the reproductive behavior. What do they do before union? The cock turns around the hen. It waddles and sings. Waddles means move by steps and walk around it. This courtship parade stimulates the sexual behavior of the hen, which crouches as a sign of acceptance. So the courtship parade that the cock does is that it turns around the hen. It waddles and sings. If the hen accepts to be a couple with the cock, it crouches. Look at the hen here, it is crouching. This means that these are going to form a couple. Another animal, the sea urchin. Look at the sea urchin. As you see, the sea urchin, we cannot distinguish between the male and the female usually. The external differences are slightly marked in sea urchins. It's difficult to know which one is a male and which one is a female. It is only the reproductive system which allows the distinction. We need to check the reproductive system of them to see. Sea urchins have sexual reproduction, but they do not mate. So there is no need for courtship parade for the sea urchin. They do not mate. In spring and autumn, each one of the two partners ejects into the water a colored liquid. So they do not mate. The male sea urchin and the female sea urchin ejects liquid into the water, and this liquid will do the fertilization outside in the water. So let us remember what we learned about sea urchin. So there is no clear sexual dimorphism. We cannot distinguish clearly which one is a male and which one is a female. So in sea urchins, there is no clear sexual dimorphism. What about the courtship parade? No need for courtship parade because there is no mating in sea urchin. So for every animal here, we are learning the sexual dimorphism, as the title says, and the courtship parade or the reproductive behavior. Okay, so in sea urchin, no clear sexual dimorphism, and there is no mating. So they do not do any parade or reproductive behavior. Another animal in document D, which is the frog. The frog, what kind of sexual dimorphism do they have? How can we know which is a male frog and which one is a female frog? Let's see. In spring, male frogs present very developed vocal sacs. Look at the vocal sacs of the frog. This is a male frog because it has vocal sacs. What are they doing? They call the females by croaking. So, what are the sexual dimorphism? Or what is the sexual dimorphism of the frog? It's that males have developed vocal sacs. The male frogs have developed vocal sacs. The courtship parade, what do they do before they unite? It is the males call the females by croaking. Okay, so to distinguish between a male and a female in frogs, we know that the males have developed vocal sacs. And what do? Their courtship parade, the males call the females by croaking. Another animal in document E, page 93. It is the fighting fish. Look at the fighting fish here. You can see that they are different. The male is different from the female. Not like the sea urchins. The male fish and the female fish are different. In the fighting fish, the male, which is more colored than the female, presents soft and long fins. So which one of these is a male? This one is a male. Why? Because it's more colored. It has more colors. And look at its fins. They are soft and long fins. Look at the female. It is not colored and it doesn't have long fins. So the male fish is more colored and it has long, soft fins. What do? They chase the female through dancing. So the male fish chases the female through dancing and attracts her towards its nest. So we learned about the fighting fish. What is the sexual dimorphism in the fighting fish? It is that males are more colored and have soft, long fins. What is the courtship parade in the fighting fish? It is that the males chase females by dancing and they attract it. The last animals we're going to talk about in this activity is the snail. Let us talk about the snails. Look at them. Do they have any sexual dimorphism? Do the males and the females look different? I cannot see any difference here. Why? Let's see why. Snails are hermaphrodites. Oh, what do you mean by hermaphrodites? So snails are hermaphrodites. What do you mean by that? Hermaphrodites means they have male and female organs at the same time. So this snail is male and female, and this snail is also a male and a female. So both are males and the females at the same time. And we cannot say this is a male snail and this is a female snail. Why? Because snails are hermaphrodites, yani they have male and female organs at the same time. But even if they are male and female at the same time, they have to mate in May and in September in order to reproduce. So the snails have a certain time to mate, which is May and September. In order to reproduce, they mate together. And what do you think happens when they mate? Which one of these will lay eggs? Of course, both of them will lay eggs, because both of them are males and females at the same time. They are hermaphrodites. What did we learn about snails? We learned about snails that they are males and females at the same time, and after mating, both snails lay eggs. Okay, so there is no sexual dimorphism in snails because there is no male snail and female snail, and they mate together in certain period and they both lay eggs. That was our activity for today. I'm going to assign for you homework in the probing the activity to be submitted soon. Thank you for watching and stay safe.